Evening,
Right.
everyone.
Well, good evening and welcome to Healthpointe Explained. I'm Lizzie Herring and I have the privilege of handing you over to Kate Lowe. Kate has been working on Healthpointe with people from all over the world. It's very exciting. And she is spearheading Healthpointe in this country. So we are really very lucky to hear it from the horse's mouth. So I think, Kate, I'm going to hand over to you and we'll hear all about it.
Wonderful. Thanks, Lizzie, and welcome. Good evening, everybody. From wherever you are joining us, we're really glad that you are here. And I imagine you're here because someone has been talking to you maybe about health, and they've suggested that you take a look this evening and see what we're doing, what I'm really excited about, because it's made such a difference for me. And just so that you can find out a little bit more about me before I get stuck into a presentation, but I came across HealthPoint in May last year and was just talking to a friend of mine who was busy working on it herself. And she said she would coach me on the program because I needed to lose some weight after having many children over the years and never really losing that baby weight. And then struggling with the passing of my mum and really just drowning all my sorrows in all of the wrong foods and far too much wine. And I was chatting to my friend and she said, "Hey, look, you should take a look at this, and I will help you. And together we can help you to get healthier." So that's what I did. I started on a journey in summer last year. I've had a couple of pauses over the last few months as I've traveled, but to date, I've lost about 43 pounds, which is around about 20-ish kilos. And I just feel so much better. I know that my health is better. I know that my body is just, much better. So now I'm on a mission to help explain to people what I'm doing so that I can pay it forward to other people. And that's really what we're here this evening to talk about. So I want to share a little presentation with you. So bear with me whilst I share my screen, and then we'll get started and I will talk you through what I have been doing. So let me tell you about HealthPoint. And HealthPoint is, she says, there we go. HealthPoint is something that, as I said, I'm really excited about. Oops. And, right now, I think pretty much around the world, and so, I know that there's many people joining us from multiple different countries around the world tonight, but pretty much around the world, these statistics apply. Most people, are struggling with weight, and here in the UK, 65% of adults are overweight, 29% of those are obese. And of course, along with those statistics come a lot of health challenges. And so I think, today we do need to work on a solution because most diets don't work because we can see the statistic at the bottom that eighty to 95% of dietists regain their weight after 1 to 5 years. And that had been my experience. I had tried lots of different diets in the past, felt restrictive, and I just couldn't get my head around them. And when I fell off the wagon, all of the weight plus more came back on. And so I'd spent my life in this yo-yo, if you like, in different weights, trying different things. And trust me, I had tried so many. And so when I came across HealthPoint, when I was talking to my friend, I was just like, I just don't know if I can do this again. I don't know if I can stick with it. And I really didn't know if I could trust myself, because there were many reasons why. Lots of diets fail, and here's the reason why. Most of us, we struggle with cravings, and that was always my problem. I would get to, you know, a certain point in the day, I needed energy, and I'd reach for something sweet or sugary, or and that would be my downfall. Or I'd have a glass of wine or two or three in the evening, and then that would lead on to me eating something sweet for dessert. So these cravings really just messed with my body, and I couldn't control them. And as much as I tried, and everyone would say, it's all about willpower, I truly believe it's the biology of, our bodies. And so cravings were really an issue for me. And then if we look at metabolic adaptation, a lot of us never really find what works for us, and none of us really find that set point and get our metabolism working in the right way. So that was my experience. My metabolism would work, with one plan, and then it wouldn't work again, and it was all over the place. And then, of course, like many of us, as we get older, I was struggling with hormonal changes. And I think that's the same for many of us as we go through different phases in our lives. And they all have effects on our weight, they all have effects on our health. And so, just biology of the human body was certainly affecting my experience. And so, that's why often many people struggle with diets. Then, of course, there's the psychology behind dieting. Oh gosh, I don't know if you've ever tried anything. You've tried to restrict what you want. You need to cut out this and you never eat that. And it was like, do it all or nothing. And if you can't get your head around that, then you were failing. And so I would always struggle with that whole thing of, I don't want to cut stuff out of my diet. I like something sweet to taste, and how can I cope with that, and how do I make this work? And so it was either I could stick with it for short period of time, and then I would give up because I just couldn't sustain it, and then all of the weight would come back on. So, there were lots of different reasons why psychologically I just couldn't cope. And then, of course, stress, emotions, different things. And that really was probably my biggest challenge was, as I said, when my mum passed away, my grief just made me eat and drink all of those wrong things. So if you relate to that, if stress or emotional challenges cause you to overeat or choose the wrong things or drink alcohol that you shouldn't be drinking, I understand, I totally get that. And then of course, with most diets, most eating plans, there's a lack of accountability. There's never somebody there with you, running alongside you, holding your hand all of the time. And so to have somebody to be accountable to, and to have a community to be able to be a part of, for me was a game changer. So why Healthpointe, and why has this, certainly worked for me and for many others, and why I'm excited about paying it forward? And I certainly wouldn't be talking to you about just anything, but for me, Healthpointe helped me to manage my cravings. It controlled hunger, and it helped me to build the healthy habits. And so that's why it really wasn't a diet. It was just this whole holistic approach to my health, and alongside that came weight loss. And that's what I needed. And I know there's many people on the program today that don't necessarily need to lose weight, but they're doing this and they're involved with the program because they want to make sure that they're being healthy. And what are some of those things that that I noticed? Well, for me, was just not being hungry, thinking, gosh, do I have to eat all of this food? Really? Surely that's going to make me gain weight. So it was a real change of thinking. And that I think has really helped me to stick with it for this period of time, and to not lose focus. And even when I've had a pause, because I've had a pause over Christmas and New Year, as many people do, and I've been traveling quite a lot. So for me, my life has been, busy. So the great news is that this program allows you to come back to it, because you never lose that thought process and that mindset. And through accountability, through my coaching team and the community that we have around the world to support us, to me, that's been just amazing. So that, I believe, is some of the main points of difference with Healthpointe than any other program out there, because for me it's certainly helped, to address all of the things that I struggled with before. I always felt like I was on my own. I never felt like somebody was going to help me. I never felt like I had somebody that I needed to be accountable to. And I certainly never had the opportunity to start to learn about my body, to learn about the food I was putting in, to learn about the water that I was drinking, and all of those things changed my thinking and have affected, certainly to this point, my success. And I know that will continue for the long term. So some of the essentials about Healthpointe, some of those sort of program essentials. What is it? What are the basic parts? Well, firstly, snacking. And who would have thought, if you were talking about a health program, they were going to talk about snacking? Hey, on our program, snacks are key. In fact, you can snack on protein-rich, low-fat, low-carb snacks every 60 to 120 minutes. Do you know how good that was? I was never hungry. I didn't crave things because that protein just kept me, satiated. It took away all the hunger, and it fueled my body so that it was burning fat. And so those protein-rich snacks were just absolutely key. Then, of course, to make sure that I was getting all of the nutrients that I needed, I supplement my diet with high quality nutritional supplements that are plant based, and that fills those gaps. We all have nutritional gaps. It doesn't matter what kind of diet you eat, unless you're growing that food in your garden, unless you're managing everything that goes into producing and transporting and storing that food, you don't have control over that. So many times we are lacking nutrients. And so I make sure that I fill all those gaps by supplementing with some incredible food supplements. Then walking. My goodness, my friend, she was like, you don't have to go to the gym, just have to walk. And I was like, really? What about, I've got to go and run on a treadmill, or I've got to go and row on a machine or cycle on a bike. I did not want to do that. But she said, no, no, just walk 10 to 15,000 steps a day. She said, ideally do 5,000 before breakfast, and that's all you need to do. Now, to start with, 10,000 seemed like a long way off, but it didn't take me long before my body was really responding, and it loosened everything up, and moving was a lot easier. And so now it's a regular habit, and to get up and move before breakfast, before I eat, it just gets that metabolism going, and you feel that energy and that burn that comes from fueling your metabolism and getting everything fired up. And then the fourth part of the program is thinking. And I think this is one of the most important parts, because not only have I learned so much about food and how it works in my body, not only have I learned about supplementation, not only have I learned about drinking pure water, not only have I learned about like mindset and that chemical change that goes on up there that really changes the way that you think about health and your body and your food, and how you learn to create those habits, and how you have this total lifestyle shift. That I wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the Healthpointe program, because I don't think that's available with anything else that I've ever tried in the bottle. I know it isn't. It's not available with anything I've tried in the past. So that's one of the biggest benefits of this program. So, if you were going to start, obviously you want to know where you're starting, and you want to set some goals for the future. Where do you see yourself as? Where's your optimal health goal? What is it? For some of us that will be a weight. For some of us that will be, how many steps. Maybe for some of us it will be reducing medication and getting healthier. So it will depend on all of those things for each of us, and it's just deciding what you're looking for and setting your goals. So make sure that you're recording those with your coach. They'll encourage you to do those things, and to take some starting photos. Oh my goodness, worst day ever, but actually one of the most important days, because did I like looking at those photos? No, But now when I look back and I can see the difference between then and now, and I still have a long way to go, I'm so glad I took those photos, because if I hadn't, I don't think I would have realized how far I have come and how it does show. And whilst I can look in the mirror and think, oh, I'm still not happy, that's because I've still got a way to go. I can see the difference, and that's vitally important. So taking those pictures, whilst it's probably the most uncomfortable thing you'd ever do, it's really vital for later on, when you reach your goals and you can compare the difference between then and now. And then probably the most important thing, because none of us do anything unless we know why. So why is this important to you? Why is it important for you to either lose weight or to get healthier? What is it that you're looking for? So knowing why you're getting started, and those are those principles that are key to get going with. So then, of course, we need to be accountable to somebody, and you'll have a coach, and you'll be able to feed back to them every single day, and tell them where you are. They're the person that you go to if you've got a question, and trust me, there's never a silly question to ask. We talk about all sorts of crazy things. Trust me, the conversations between myself and my coach about all sorts of things is unbelievable. But every day I'm just accountable to her. And I know that in the morning, that's what I need to do, is I need to send her a message and tell her where I am in my progress. And that helps me feel encouraged. And there's people in my coaching team that are there to cheer me on as my cheerleaders, to encourage me. And that makes me never feel alone, because I did before, when I've done things in the past, I'm like, yes, I can do this. I can be strong and I can be brave and I've got willpower. Well, it only lasts so long. And as soon as an obstacle appears, most of the time things, get challenging, and I end up back where I was, before I started. So having a coach and having people to encourage me really helps me to change my thought processes and keeps me on track. So it's a vital part of the program. Then, of course, tracking everything, measuring on a regular basis, taking those progress photos as you move along through the program, and tracking and reviewing your progress with your coach, because sometimes you don't see it yourself. And so making sure, having that relationship with your coach to review things after each cycle of Healthpointe, then you're able to set some new goals and decide where you're going, whether you're going to do another cycle, whether you're ready to move into weight stabilization and maintenance. So wherever you are, just having that strong relationship with your coach and tracking your progress all the way through is vitally important. Now, I talked about changing your thinking, and part of the Healthpointe program is that there is daily media. So every day there's a new audio, podcast, whatever you want to call it, to listen to. In fact, some days there's two. And that's really helped me to change my thinking, because, as I said, I've learned so much, but also there've been days when maybe I wasn't feeling so great for whatever reason. The weather's miserable and I don't really want to be out walking, and I'm grumpy, or I'm tired, or I'm hungry, or whatever. And I'm thinking however I'm thinking, and I listen to that audio, and all of a sudden I'm like, how did you know I was feeling like that today? So the daily media is just so key, and it just totally then changes your mindset, and helps you to reset your thinking. And then we have the most incredible community, a warm, encouraging, welcoming environment. And that's made up of various different events. You can see a little screenshot of one of our events down there where we were out walking. Everybody jumps on a Zoom call at a certain time during the week, and we walk. We just take half an hour to walk. Sometimes we welcome new people and share tips. Sometimes we listen to somebody's story. And we just get out there and we walk. We get our steps in. It's super easy, but we're all doing it together. And so again, you feel like you've got this community. You're not on your own. You're feeling encouraged. You're feeling driven, and you're just wanting to keep going. And I think that's really powerful. It's certainly, when I've been traveling and I haven't been able to join for whatever reason, different time zone or whatever, when I've come back and I've jumped back on there and put my headphones on and get out there and walk, I'm just like, oh, it just feels so good to be back in that environment. Such a powerful place and such a powerful thing to have as part of the program. So as you go through the program, we want to be able to create these habits so that we can maintain this for the long term. I certainly didn't want to do something that like I'd done before, tried something, had some success, then fallen off for whatever reason, and then it all falls apart and I didn't want to be that statistic of 80 to 95% of people regain the weight after, 1 to 5 years. I didn't want to be that. And that's where Health Point sets you up for the long term, because those essential things become a daily habit. It just becomes part of your lifestyle. And that's because we're encouraged to ourselves in the environment, those audios, the community, and just making that a part of your life, setting that goal that this is how I live now, and that's a powerful thing, because once you've done that, you'll never go back. So, little overview of what the program is about. So, we start with some preparation days, and then we go into protein days, and there's 3 of those. Then we go into some weight loss days for between days 4 to 28. And then for the last 2 weeks of our 6 week cycle, we add more food. And then that takes us up to 6 weeks in our first cycle. And then we have a decision to make. Do we need to go back and restart another cycle, or are we ready to move into maintenance or stabilization? And that's a conversation you'll have with your coach as you review after 6 weeks. So what happens in the preparation days? Well, there are some different tasks to do, including watching some videos, getting organized, being prepared. I definitely had to get a smartwatch so that I could track my steps. And actually, one of the most important things that I use it for is to set an alarm. I needed to remind myself to snack because I'd got so in the habit of just not eating, because that was always my problem. I thought if I didn't eat, I'd lose weight. Well, that didn't work, right? Because I just continued to gain weight. And so I had to retrain myself. And I did that by having to deliberately set alarms on my smartwatch to snack every hour to two. So you might need to do that. You might need to get some digital scales. Again, one of the best things that I have is, some smart scales that connect to an app that track not just my weight, but they track all sorts of other values. Because as you're getting fitter, if you weren't used to walking 10,000 steps before, or you've stepped it up to 15,000, you're going to start to build some muscle on your body, and muscle weighs more than fat. So for instance, I've had days where I haven't lost weight and I've been surprised. I'm like, what's happening? But then I look at my other measurements, like I look at the muscle mass and I see that's increased slightly. So I'm happy because actually I'm changing the body composition of my body. So digital scales I highly recommend. Then there's some other tasks like cleaning out your cupboards and your fridge, get rid of all of those foods that are not on the program, because if they're not there, you can't be tempted. And then you want to start to think about being prepared for the first 3 days. And that you're going to need to do some shopping, make sure you're buying the right things, and you'll have a food list. So that will help you to do that. So there are some things to do in the preparation days. And then we go into our first 3 days of protein, and we're going to snack from our list, as I said, every 60 to 120 minutes. We're going to try to keep our carbs under 50 for that day. I try to keep mine a little bit lower than that, try to stay around about or under 20 on my protein days. And I'm just going to choose from the food list on the HealthPoint app for the foods that I'm going to eat, and I make sure I've got them. So, like, I've always got boiled eggs in the fridge. I've always got pieces of chicken cold in the fridge, so that when my alarm goes off, I can run, not run to the fridge, walk to the fridge, because I don't run anywhere, walk to the fridge and have an egg or have some chicken or whatever I've got prepped and ready to go. And there's some great recipes on the app to help you to do that too. But every week, every week on a Monday, we start with a protein day. And then we'll go into our weight loss days from days 4 to 28. And again, you continue to snack because we don't want you to be hungry. We want you to eat constantly. But now you're going to add in your 3 meals as well. And those 3 meals are moderate carbs, and they include some fruit or some grains. They include some lettuce or salad. They include some vegetables. So you're getting a really good balance of food, and you're going to eat all of those foods at that meal. And you're going to have 3 meals, and then you're going to snack on your protein rich snacks in between, so that you're never hungry. And I mean, that just made me happy. It was like, gosh, whew, again, it's gone off again. Is it really that time already? And you may struggle with that to begin with, but trust the program, because what you're doing is you're fueling your metabolism. You're giving it what it needs to get in there and burn the fat, and help you to lose weight. Some of the other things that are really important is to drink purified water. Make sure that you're hydrating and you're drinking constantly. Not easy when it's winter here up in Europe, but there are ways, and we've got lots of tips. And that's one of the things that we talk about on our walk and talks. We share tips like, how do you drink the water? How do you get through that? But make sure you've got it with you all the time. Carry your water with you, so you're constantly being able to drink. And you'll learn how important water is to your body as you listen to the audios through the program. So then once we've done 4 weeks by then, and we hit our add more food days, and we're going to continue to walk, we're going to continue to move, we're going to make sure we're going to try and get some steps in before breakfast. And we don't need to work out, but we're just going to get moving. And that's why I highly recommend a smartwatch, because those they track your steps much more efficiently than just carrying your phone around. You know, I would put my phone down and I'd be moving around, I'd be walking, and then I'd think, oh, I haven't done enough steps today. Well, as soon as I got my watch, I realized, oh, I am doing enough. It's just I put my phone down, so it wasn't moving with me, was it? So, you know, you have to be solution oriented. Then we want to make sure that we're supplementing, bridging that nutrient gap, so that we're getting everything that we need, so we're not missing out on some of those vital nutrients. And we do that using a high quality nutritional supplements based on plant concentrates, and they are totally unique. If you get a chance to ask the person that asked you to watch tonight, ask them about the supplements, because they're fantastic. And that way, you know that you're not missing out. You know, with previously when I'd done restrictive diets, you know, you often think, well, surely I must be missing out on something. Here, it's all covered. And we know that we're getting the very best, because it's all certified, all quality tested. It's traceable all the way from the seed that they planted to grow the crop with to the supplement that's produced at the end. And it's all tracked. There's a little code on the packaging, and they can track that particular product all the way back to wherever it was planted and how it was grown and the seed that was used to grow it. So it's an incredible product under the brand name of Nutrilite, which is the world #1 selling vitamin and dietary supplement brand. And it's the only one that grows, harvests and processes plants on their own certified organic farms. So you know you're getting the very best supplements to bridge that nutritional gap with. So I've talked a little bit about thinking, and that's really important, because, you know, if you do want to change your body, you've got to change your mind. And that's the only way to maintain it for the long term and create those lifestyle habits. And that comes with watching and listening that daily media, tracking everything, popping it all in your journal, being accountable to your coach, sending through your food journal and telling them your weight every day, and putting yourself in an environment that will support you, like coming along and joining the walks and talks so that you can feel like you're not on your own, feel like you've got, somebody, out there walking at the same time as you, and then reviewing your progress regularly. So, that's the overview of the program. And I've kind of sort of shared my story as I've gone along. And I'm, incredibly grateful for that conversation that I had with my friend back in May last year, because without that, I don't know where I would have been today. But what I know now is that I have a program that's part of my life that I will always have, that I will never get myself back to where I was before, and that I can only look forward to even better health, even less weight on my body. And the most exciting thing for me, the thing that my friend did, which is to pay it forward to other people. And that's kind of what we're doing today, is sharing the program with others so we can share the opportunity for them to change their life and their health. So I thought it would be great if Lizzie, who introduced me, would maybe just share her story. And she's got a fantastic story. She's been doing an amazing job. But Lizzie, would you kindly share your story with everybody about your Health Point journey?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Lizzie, and I actually had some quite considerable success with Healthpointe a little while ago, and managed to keep the weight off. And then Christmas would come round, and it just took a while to get back on it. And then Easter would come around, and it took a while to get back on it, and it just slipped and slipped and slipped, and eventually I gave up. But I knew it worked. I absolutely knew it worked, and I knew how well I felt. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, the energy I had was phenomenal and almost embarrassing. I mean, it was just incredible. So I knew it worked, and I thought so many times, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to really do it. I'm going to really, really do it this time. And I'd get so far, and then something would happen, or there'd be a party, or there'd be a lot of food left in the house, and it's awful to waste it. You've got to eat it up, all that sort of thing. So, and this cycle just get on and on and on. I just thought, oh, I'm never going to get back on it. Um, and then when I heard that Kate was looking into bringing it here properly, I let her know I'd be mad keen to join her if I possibly could. And I was lucky enough that Kate did introduce me to a coach who has been incredible. And it was game change from the moment I met my coach, because there was someone who I actually already respected. And so I had to do it. I had no choice. I mean, this is the wonderful thing. You're just backed into a corner, and you just can't not. And also, I think part of my problem was I was a bit cocky about Healthpointe. I had studied it quite hard. I knew I'd done it really, really well, and that it had been really successful. So I thought I knew it. Well, actually, you don't, because you don't quite remember, and you do slightly make it up as you go along, and you put in things that you've been told about for other diets, and so it was the accountability that made all the difference. Having a coach that I really respected, and also, as Kate mentioned, encouragers. So I knew there were about 5 people watching me, so it was just no option but to stick to it. And I started to get results again very quickly, and started to feel so much better. And my greatest thing I'm really thrilled about is, because I had all these people watching me, I actually managed to stop drinking alcohol. And I mean, no, it was never a real problem, but I do like it. And I've got a family, and we have fun, and it's lovely to have a drink in the evening. But one becomes two, and then two becomes three, and then you get back to only trying to have one a night. Do you know what I mean? And it's such a waste, because then you wake up in the morning and you're just not quite on 100%. So, I mean, it was never a big problem, and I was certain I could get off it completely if I really tried. But with Healthpointe now, I haven't drunk for, well, actually, I've actually just started at this beginning of this year, but I haven't missed it. I mean, this is the great thing. Kate mentioned cravings, and I love food. I love cheese. I really enjoy food. And I was really quite worried about having to get back on Healthpoint again. But actually, once you've got your blood sugars steady, you just don't miss it. I did a catering thing today for a conservation walk, and I'd made some really nice brownies, and I really wondered if I was going to be able to resist them, and I just didn't even want them. It was amazing. So yeah, the difference of having the coaching system is it's night and day. It really is. There's no doubt about it. And the community walks are enormous fun. I didn't think they could be quite so much fun, but they really are. You know, you get booted and spurred and off and out and walking in the dark at the moment, but it's such fun. And all the people pop up and the people that you recognize, and you start to get to know people, and you pick up all sorts of tips that you never would have thought of yourself. And I've now started helping other people, so I pick up tips of how I can help other people better. So yes, Healthpoint is absolutely brilliant, but this way of doing Healthpoint is exponentially more brilliant. I mean, it's like another program, really. And the audios that Kate mentioned are amazing. There's a lot of scientific audios, well, science perhaps is a strong word, but a lot of information about why it works, how it works, and the supplements. And but there's also some sort of fun ones, fun stories, and they do keep you going. And as Kate said, quite often you think, well, how did you know I was feeling like that? How did you know that was the one thing I needed to hear today? So yes, I mean, I don't know if that's sort of given you a bit of an overview, but having tried Healthpoint with and without the coaching program, it's night and day, and I would never go back to doing it on my own like that. But just having that support is amazing. So and what have I done? I've lost quite a bit. It's also exciting. I could even forget how much I've lost. I've lost 22 pounds, so it's over a stone and a half. So that's quite significant. And my clothes, it's like having a new wardrobe. You're back in things you haven't been able to wear for ages. So that's lovely. So anyway, I hope that's given you a bit of an overview. I don't know, Kate, if there's anything else you want me to touch on, but
That's brilliant. Thanks, Lizzie. I really appreciate it. And it just shows you, doesn't it, that like me, we'd done different things before and you'd had experience, but actually, maybe you don't really, or you didn't really appreciate what this way of doing things how it would work. And that's what I would say, that most people that are joining us today have an opportunity in the next couple of weeks to attend a meeting where we'll be discussing this in a little bit more detail. And at that meeting, you'll have access to be able to get started on this new way of Healthpoint coaching. So I would say come along, or ask the person that sent you the link today, come along to that face-to-face meeting. There'll be one, as I said, in a couple of weeks. So come along to that, learn more about the program, see how it could work for you, because I'm excited about being able to pay it forward to other people, to be able to help them to get healthy, to help them to access some great supplements, to help them to change their thinking, and to really see all of the health and lifestyle benefits that this program has to offer. So it's been fantastic being with you this evening, and I will see you at some point again. So have a great evening and see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Kate. Goodbye. Thank you, Kate from Botswana.
Thanks, Kate from Ireland.